Welcome back, Hearties. We're so excited to be back hosting our chats with the Win Calls the Heart cast and crew. I'm Jeanette from Michigan, and today I'm joined by
Kim from Barrie, Ontario.
And Lori from Alabama.
And the SAG strike kind of kept you guys quiet for a long time, but we're so excited to welcome our Mountie himself. Welcome, Kevin McGarry. Yay.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, good to have you, especially during the holidays. We really appreciate it. So
yeah.
So first off, how the heck are you? The Hearties have been following your adventures on Instagram, and
yeah,
you had yourself a little trip there to New York. How was that?
We did. It was amazing. You know, I mean, New York at Christmas time is just so magical, so incredible. We had such a good time. We were there, for a good chunk of time, and took in a bunch of shows and some comedy and a bunch of restaurants and shopping, and just the whole thing. And it was amazing.
We have lots of questions from the Hearties. They were quite
bring them.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes. No. Maybe. They're all one word answers.
Probably a lot of those yes, no babies in there.
Yeah, yes, no, maybe, possibly.
When Heart to Hearties spoke to you last, it was right before the season finale of season 9. So we have a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, what happened?
You're like, wow, that's like 2 years ago for
that's a long time.
Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Nothing happened. It's about the same. Everything's the exact same, right?
Yeah, right.
9 was when. What happened to Nathan in 9? Oh, it was he put Henry in jail? Is that, or no? He goes back and Henry runs. Is that the last thing with Nathan in 9?
Is that?
I don't know.
I think he arrested Henry.
I think that was his last moment. He was supposed to, and then he shows up and Henry puts himself back in jail or something. It's like everything's fine. I think that was the last joke that Nathan had in 9. I think. Yeah. Anyways, nothing else. It's basically the same.
Yeah. So we wanted to talk about the camping trip because it afforded you opportunities both to sing and to have Viv Leacock as a scene partner, because I think that hadn't happened before, right?
Sir Viv Leacock, I believe he's known as.
Oh, there you go.
I think he's knighted. I'm pretty sure. On Wikipedia, I read that he was knighted.
Brian Shively of Lake Havasu City, Arizona, said it was one of his favorite scenes this season, and he wanted to talk about the camp out. If you can tell us more about it. With Sir
Viv told me not to look him in the eye. Viv told me not to look him in the eye. He only wanted to be called Joseph. He's a big diva. No, he's great. I think Viv's fantastic, and I think it was such a great opportunity to finally be able to, work together, and everybody got great advice from that pastor except for Nathan. He hasn't really had a chance to just be alone and get some advice, and I think it came at a part where Nathan, so the whole singing thing was going on. They were talking. Oh yeah, Joseph didn't want to go, right? Joseph didn't want to go,
right?
And then he went last minute. Oh yeah, he saved Nathan because Nathan didn't want to. Basically, it was like Nathan hosting a slumber party for his daughter, and being like, "I don't want to be here." So then Joseph came and saved him. Oh man, I feel so bad because
Nathan ended up giving Joseph
advice. Yes, that's
so it was sort of like a reverse role in the moment.
You're right. Cool. You're right. He still needs to get advice from Joseph. Nathan's the one giving advice.
He owes him. He owes him.
Yes. What was the advice that he gave him? Because I remember I know for Nathan's story that he kind of came back and realized that he just loves being in Hope Valley and where he is, as evident at the end when he's talking to Elizabeth. But what did he say to? What was the advice?
It was something about saying. Wasn't it something about saying yes to the things that matter, or the right things to say yes to, or make time for, kind of thing?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Nathan he's very insightful.
Nice.
Yeah, and then the singing. I mean, Viv is such a warm actor as it is, to work with. So I'd love to do more scenes with him. I would love to do a scene where Nathan gets advice from the pastor. I think it could happen.
We don't see that even in season 11.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Possibly. Yeah, I mean,
Yes, no, maybe.
yes, no, maybe. Yes, no, maybe. I remember having to sing, and that it isn't like Nathan like belt out and song on the way back, like this the little light of
This little
mine
light of mine.
song. I remember being nervous about that. That's what I think. It's so funny. We're talking about that, and I forget that we just shot 11. Oh, right, we just shot 11, and we're talking. No, yeah, we just shot 11.
Yeah.
We're talking about 10.
Yeah.
Having the new schedule really kind of like throws me off a little bit because I'm like, oh, it feels like it was so long ago that we did that. Yes. So, but I remember walking out of the woods, and Neil Fernley was directing that episode. I feel like they were so far away because I guess they had the tighter lens when we had to come out through the forest, and I had to like belt out the song, and I was like, I don't want to do this. This doesn't seem like something Nathan would be doing, like singing, and I just remember kind of being embarrassed. Yeah,
well, you did great.
Thank you.
You nailed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was
So-
and to his point, they let on that he let himself kind of go, and the idea was that he loves being in Hope Valley and loves being a part of the community. I think,
There
as
you go.
evident as the last scene.
Loves being Allie's dad.
Loves being Allie's dad. I mean, that's
Yeah.
he did that at the beginning. You know, he loved being Allie's guardian, and now eventually her dad. But yeah.
Judy Williams of Morgantown, West Virginia wonders, is there more singing in Nathan's future? Maybe even in the Hope Valley Choir?
Unfortunately, yes, there is more singing in Nathan's future.
What do you mean, unfortunately? Yay.
For me.
Oh,
Yeah, there's I was doing ADR for it the other day.
Nice.
oh, very cool.
I can't tell you where it happens or what, but
Okay.
as I was watching it, I was reminded of it was a very like Edelweiss scene. It looked like Captain Von Trapp kind of
Oh, very cool.
so
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah,
We'll look forward to
so
that.
there is a bit more singing in Nathan's future. He's, like I said, he's really coming out of his shell. I was surprised we were gonna have Nathan sing. I mean, I don't know if that. I was like, I don't know. Does he sing? He doesn't really. Like watching Henry sing, but
Will we see
we're
everything?
doing it. I don't think so.
Not say.
Pretty
Let
sure.
Henry speak for
Pretty
that.
sure no.
Well, that's
Henry does some
interesting
mime
because
work.
there you go.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I think the last scene in season 10 about him singing was where he refused, where they tried to get him into the choir.
To join the
and was
choir.
like, yeah. And you were like, nah,
He's
that's
like, I gotta
not
go brush
happening.
Newton or do
Right.
something else. Yeah.
So
No,
something
well, they got him.
changes. We get
They
him
got
back.
him.
Okay.
It is secret though. Like he doesn't think, he's being watched. So,
Ah, gotcha.
he's not all of a sudden like A Star Is Born and Nathan comes out and does like a solo, does the in the choir, but music comes into it. There is a music heavy episode in 11 that is pretty delightful.
Very
And it's
cool.
got some fun callbacks, and there's a lot of good stuff in that episode. So yeah.
Nice.
Parties everywhere. Just went,
Yeah.
what? More music?
He's been playing music. Switching gears a little bit, Julie Stein of Amherst, Virginia. She speaks for many of us who love the banner between Bill and Nathan this past season. The two of them remind us of so many of the classic law enforcement duos with their gruff but vulnerable sides. What did you enjoy about that relationship in season 10, and will we see more of it in season 11?
Yeah, I first of all, I agree. I really like that the dynamic that kind of Jack and I have found. Again, I don't know if that was originally written that it was going to be like that, but I find that they're like, oh, this kind of works. They've got this kind of fun chemistry together. We've got like the guy that does it the old way, and like this is the way it should be done, and the other guy the younger guy kind of pushing him to do things, and then them both kind of fighting over like the power, like the desk thing was so great. And
That was fun.
That was
whose desk it is, and like it's so Bill's long retired, but he still keeps coming by and like solving mysteries with Nathan. It's a good dynamic, and I really liked, especially this season 9. which is the season we're talking about, and it's
10.
the
Yeah,
Madeline. Season 10.
Oh yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Madeline.
Yeah, season 10 with Madeline. And I like that Nathan was the one seeing him fall for this girl as he's like, trying to too masculine to kind of tell his feelings or whatever. And we did a couple of those scenes all in one day, kind of at night in the jail where there was a couple ones where Nathan basically was calling him out about not trust, not allowing his feelings to kind of come through and being like, look, I think you like this girl, and don't like some true advice about like, don't hold back. If you really like her, like, go tell her. It's it didn't work out well for him for Nathan in the past. So I thought that was some like strong friendship advice there, that it's like, go get her if you love her. And then the whole thing about, when he's taking the butter churner and all that stuff around the back, and he's cleaning out the Mountie office in the back to try to spruce up his cabin for Madeline. And yeah, I just think, Jack and I there's a rhythm too. And, I've said in previous interviews too, that Jack's like, he just really knows what he's doing. I learn a lot from him as Kevin. And he tends to like find the rhythm and the pace and I just have a lot of fun working with him. And we do see more of that in 11, but Nathan has his hands fuller than he did in 10. So there is a new dynamic with Bill, with another person who is, you wouldn't first think that Bill would team up with this person, but it's a dynamic that does work actually quite well. Nathan and Bill are still obviously, and it actually works. It's funny because Bill tends to come to Nathan more to be like what's going on with this other person? Like, are you coming in here with like what's happening? So yeah, it's a new dynamic. It's super fun, and Jack's great at it. So they do work together, but Bill has a new partner in 11.
Focus. Yeah.
It changes the dynamic a little bit, huh?
Yes. Yeah. Nathan's got kind of his own thing going on that he can't be with Bill as much, but the new dynamic is super fun.
Oh, nice.
That's intriguing.
But I won't tell you who it is. I won't tell you.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Teasing us a little bit. Little bit.
And it's a person. It's not like it's the dog. Like it's a person.
Right.
You bring up the dog, and we're about to talk about that.
Oh, wow. Almost like it was planned.
Good segue. Good segue. In our chat last year, we were lobbying for more Mountie action for Mountie Nathan. Maybe even seeing you and Newton do a water jump. Remember when we talked about the water jump?
That's what John wanted to do. Like John still wrote me that that gun flip on the horse is still
that was
one of my
cool.
favorite things that I got to do on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, John at one point was sending me these clips, being like, "Hey, do you think you could do this? Do you think you could?" A water jump would be amazing.
Mm-hmm. That would be
anyway,
really cool. Be a great meme too.
Yeah.
But in the end,
we
got lovable. That would be. But we got lovable Scout chasing squirrels.
Yeah, we really went strong the other way.
Scout's so cute. He just gave you so much trouble.
He's excellent at his job.
Aaron Miller of St. Louis, Missouri wonders which is easier to work with, Newton or Scout?
That's a good question. They both have their on and off days. If it is too hot out there, and because we tend to shoot, we cover quite a few seasons in our shooting schedule. We kind of do, we start late summer, if not middle summer, and we end just before the winter. So at the very beginning, you're just kind of, especially me wearing the surge, like you're just sweating. It's so hot to stand under that sun, and you're in a field. A lot of our exterior shots. And then, by the end, it's quite cold, and the surge works the other way, where it's not warm enough. Why do we decide that this was the uniform for the Mounties? Anyways, at the beginning, I find the horses can be like, we can do an exterior where Nathan has to ride in, or he's chasing somebody on the horse or whatever. And you do that 2 or 3 times, And then that horse starts getting sweaty and does not want to, like, it's like almost like the horse gives up. It's like, do we have the shot? We've got the shot.
He's
I'm going
done.
back to the stable, yeah, to get some hay. He's a great horse. He's the biggest horse on the set. Like Newton is Newton's the name of the horse, but Robin is the name. That Robin's the horse's name in real life, and he's a big boy. And he can be intimidating sometimes when he gets a little antsy, and you can kind of feel his hooves, shaking around and kind of kicking the dirt. Like, I hope we get this in the next one, because I feel like the horse is over, and I don't want to be on him if he starts, shaking a little bit. But other than that, he's incredible to work with. I mean, we did once. Andrea and I did this one scene where Newton had to follow us. Robin had to follow us, and we're doing this scene, this kind of walk and talk, and he finds the camera like in between the negative space between the two, and just walk like a dog, just follows us. And then I think we kind of finish the scene, and we say whatever, and Andrea leaves, and then I give like a click or whatever, walk off, and then the horse just follows. And we did it once as on rehearsal, and again Neil was directing that episode, and he's like, "We got it." And both of us Andrew and I, like, didn't think we were shooting. I'm like, "What happened?" And he's like, "The horse did it. You have no idea how great the horse was." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy the horse was so great."
He's the star of the scene.
He's the star. Then we need the horse. But yeah, that horse can hit its mark, and he's pretty great. And now on the flip side, with Scout came to us with his own service animal, which was the cutest thing ever. He had his own like service dog, because he gets nervous in front of the camera. How adorable is that?
No,
So
he
cute.
needed his buddy around. It was super cute. He's more chill now. Like, he's kind of used to it now.
That's
And
good.
I would say more things are expected of the dog. The dog has to like look a certain way, or do a couple more things. It's harder sometimes, and it does take a couple takes with the dog. There was, he's just being a dog sometimes, and you need him to sit, or you need him to match what he did in the wide, which he doesn't remember. He's a dog, so that can be frustrating.
Right.
But ultimately, like, he's a great dog, and he's super fun to work with, and he's doing his best, and he is great at not listening to Nathan, and comedy gold ensues from that. So I don't know, it's a tie. They're both incredible, both those animals.
I'm so glad you said that about
Sorry,
Robin, because the last HFR, I had never had much interaction with him, and he was living his best life. He was getting so much attention from the Hearties.
Oh yeah.
And I went over there with my Nikon and to take some photos of him. And I have never, in the 7 years I've been to set, I've never seen a horse so aware of the camera. Like, he would just look directly at me, and then he'd like do a circle and then pose again. It was very, I was like, I think in his head, he thinks he's the star of the show. Like, I was so,
Well,
I was so
in all our
curious
heads,
to hear your
in all our
take
heads, we think we're the star of the show. But you're right. Like, it's funny. I've ridden a few horses in a few different projects, and they know, like, they eventually, just like a dog too, once you get them to do it 1 or 2 times, the horse can hear when they're calling, sound speed. Like, they know they're about to say action. They know about, and sometimes they just start. Like, they're like, "What are we waiting for? Let's just go." I know it's and the horse wranglers, they'll kind of ride the horses a couple times. If we have to, like, come in hard on a horse, galloping in, or bring it up to like a higher canter, we'll get Carrie or Jamie, our horse wranglers, to kind of like come in and do it a couple times, so it's in the horse's body. But then they're just like on autopilot. Like, they just know, and they know what to listen for, and they know how to hit their mark. They know when to stop. Like, it is, they're very smart animals. And
Wow.
yeah, it almost it kind of is a burden off you too as an actor, because you kind of trust that the horse is going to. Now they do get fed up quickly. They are like, we've done this enough times, and then they start pulling back to the barn. Especially if you're riding a horse towards where it eats and sleeps. Sometimes it's just going to keep going that way, because it's thinking, oh, like we got it, and you got to kind of fight the horse and say your lines. That's one skill that I will take from When Calls the Heart and Heartland as well. Like, acting on a horse is just a whole new game, because you're trying to deliver your lines, you're trying to deliver your intention, but then you're on a live animal that has its own agenda, and and you're trying to stay in the frame. So yeah, it's a whole complicated. You really just have to relax. Like, I mean, that's a note for acting as well. Just the best stuff comes from relaxation. But the horse can feel if you're tense, or if your legs are, if you're really gripping onto that horse, it affects how the horse is going to stand, or how it's going to ride, or So relaxation is the best thing. But yeah. Anyways, Robin is a big diva. Yes, Newton.
Yeah.
He knows the camera.
Yeah, like I
the
picture him
star.
like pushing you out of the way, like you're in my shot.
Oh yeah, he's done it a couple of times with his like he'll push out. We did just a couple scenes in the stable, and they're always hanging over their individual stables, and they're always like, or they'll just neigh in the middle of a take, like. And sometimes it's like perfect where they do it. It's on a certain line or something that makes it gives it a whole new meaning when a horse is like. So yeah, they're super fun to work with, and you just like any animal, you got to be patient.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
Cabin works the same way. You never know what he's going to do, and you just got to be patient. But eventually, he's going to hit his mark and say his line, and we can all go home.
Oh,
Unless he heads to Crafty, and then he just starts going. to Crafty.
That's it. And you gotta wait till he's done again. And then he gets tired too and starts, pushing his heels in. Yeah.
sounds like y'all have no fun at all on set. No fun.
No.
None.
It's so boring. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we hate everybody. Everybody hates everybody. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, we had the opportunity earlier this season to speak to Siobhan Devine about shooting that hostage scene that you were in.
Yes.
She mentioned that there were more women directors in season 10 than When Calls the Heart had ever had before. Mm-hmm. Could you speak to us about your experience with the show's cadre of directors, what you might have learned from Siobhan, for example, in season 10 or season 11?
Yes, cadre of director. I've never heard that before. Cadre means like a cachet of directors.
A group.
Yeah, a whole bunch.
Yeah. Cadre. I like that. Cadre. I will speak on the cadre of directors. Well, I'm happy to say the cadre has gotten larger. In 11, we have a new female director as well, added on. Like Siobhan does a block as well in 11, but we have a brand new. And Elise did one in 10, and now we've got Stacy. So the cadre is only getting bigger, and I think for the better. I think it's very important to have women directors and women writers in a women-led really story. Just looking at something through a different lens, is vital to keeping a show running. As long as When Calls the Heart has run. I think Siobhan has been great. I mean, I met Siobhan, I think she started in 8, I want to say. Just the scene that you were talking about the hostage situation. Which I think the best part of that is when Jack comes in and just like hits the guy with the gun and knocks him out. That looked like he really hit that guy. I said to Jack, I was like, that was so good. And Jack's like, authenticity, man. You gotta take these guys out. Oh no, he didn't really hit that guy. But I think about there's a scene where like we had all the kind of main characters come together to realize what was happening with the water, right? I mean, the hostage situation was just a catalyst to find out that this farmer also lost his well was dried up, or his land was taken. And so with that new information, they're all sitting down and the map comes out and everybody kind of says all the information that they know. And as a group, we all put it together. I remember Siobhan was directing that, and there was six of us in this tiny little, the Coulter's office was super tight, and the map was not done to scale. So we were just like pointing at things and just saying things, and it was one of those scenes where everybody had like a line, that was building on top of each other before we kind of realized that it's Union City Holdings or whatever it was called, and it felt just kind of cheesy. In all honesty, it just kind of felt. No one thought it was going to work, and Siobhan was like, "No, it's going to work. Trust me. Like, it's going to be great. It's going to be great." And she was right. When I watched on doing ADR, I was like, that scene. All I remember is everybody laughing, and we're all having a good time, and just pointing at nothing. And I think at one point Chris had to like kind of talk about something on the map, and he just kind of like moved his hand around because nobody knew where anything was. And anyway, when it was all cut together, Siobhan was right. It was a great scene, and it what it did was it brought all those characters together to solve it together, and that was the point of that episode for those characters. And then she also did that thing with was it the baby shower with all the women at Abigail's, and they're all kind of going back and forth too. Kind of a similar scene, and it's so anyways, her specialty to put it all together, and that was super fun and funny. But yeah, she's fantastic. Elise is another director. I don't know her last name, it's escaped me right now, but
Rogers.
Elise Rogers. I rarely call people by their full name. Oh, so I would just be like Elise. So, I'm just on a first name basis. She's Elise to me. She's the boss. Elise the boss. She did that. What has been in quotations called now the apple juice scene with Nathan and Elizabeth, and that scene, she really just let us kind of go. Like, I really feel there was a lot of space in that scene, and that was the first time that really happened for me on the show, where a director kind of just let the two actors just kind of sit in the scene. And I think that might be a reason why people like that scene too. It felt like they were just two people kind of sitting across from a table. So I mean, I'm just piggybacking onto what's the word you used? Not cachet, cadre. Yeah, cadre of women directors, that it only betters this season if and the whole show, and I'm happy that we're moving forward with adding more and more women directors and writers on the show. So yeah, I only can say great things about it, and I only think it's enhanced my experience and the show as well.
Good.
Is it hard to adjust when you go from one block to the next, from director to director? Or are you kind of each one's style really well now?
Well, a couple of them you do for sure, because I mean there's a couple. Neil has been on it since day one. Not only since I joined, but the 5 years prior. Peter is another one that's been on it for a while too. You get to know their style as well, but at the same time, like, they always surprise you with kind of a new thing that they want to try. Moving from block to block, I'll tell you, when it must be intimidating to be a new director on. That's another thing too, like having new directors come on, and you're talking to an actor who's lived with, like, I've been talking to Aaron, who's lived with Elizabeth for 10 years. And, like, I mean, to give somebody a direction on a choice, like, Aaron knows that character better than the director that came on for a month, basically. So you really got to kind of find, a collaboration. I would be very intimidated coming on as an episodic director, because you want to please, not only, you want to give the network what they want and the producers what they want, but you also want to kind of work with the actor and allow them to explore things. Or, like, if an actor says, well, like, I wouldn't do this. I know you kind of planned it out, you come in and prep, and our show shoots very fast, and we cover a lot in each day. Like, we do shoot quite a few pages. I mean, it's about 8 or 9, sometimes 10 pages a day, which is quite a lot for TV. Yeah. Borderline soap opera. That's another reason why Jack would be like, we did 200 pages. a day when you tell you back in. One take. Jack doesn't talk like that. I'm just making it. One take. But you know, so it moves fast and furious, and with that, you know, you've got to collaborate. You've got to kind of find the best thing to appease everybody, and it can be daunting. But everybody that I work with on the show has just done such a great job. And yeah, I mean, to go back and fully answer your question, yes, it can be a bit jarring sometimes to have all of a sudden a new director come in for a new block. You know, and they're trying to keep up to what just happened, but they're so focused on their block. So if you think about it, like, so say we shoot in blocks, 2 episodes per block. So let's say Siobhan's doing 5 and 6 and Elise is coming in to do 7 and 8. While we're shooting 5 and 6, Elise will be prepping 7 and 8. So she, you know, I'm sure she'll kind of watch and see what we've been doing, but at the same time, she's also got to find her locations and get her blocking down. And like, she wants to be prepped because, like I said, we only had, you know, we shoot so much in a day. So she might miss a couple things that we've done in Siobhan's block. So, you know, then all of a sudden the blocking will be there and she'll be like, I've got you standing here. And you'd be like, well, you didn't see what happened in the last block. This wouldn't make any sense. And so a lot of it, you know, is preparation. But then when the day comes, you got to kind of roll with the punches too. You know, like, preparation is great. And it's always better to be prepared. But, you know, having a type of improv where it's like, oh, this is what's happening now. And, you know, kind of just going with the tide a few times really helps out. And Siobhan did that in a couple scenes that we worked on in 11. I found that we were all kind of collaborating on some stuff that didn't really make sense. And I think it worked between the players on that day and Siobhan. So yeah, that was a long answer to your question, but
it was good.
It was great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it's
talk.
interesting.
I'll keep talking until you just stop.
Well, it's interesting. You were talking about that collaboration that you work with the directors and everything. And last time when you were chatting with us, you did talk a lot about how the directors are moving the camera around, the lighting, the cinematography. It seems to interest you. Do you have an interest in directing at some point?
Oh yeah, I definitely do. You know, and that's, I mean, I would rather sit by, you know, Video Village or you know, talk to the director in between or some even scenes that aren't mine. Like, I'll kind of watch and see what they're doing. This season in particular, the rumor was that the network wanted to move the camera. They wanted to kind of change the look of the show a little bit. So I was kind of watching a couple directors really, you know, did that and really kind of had some fun with some certain shots, and some of it looks really great. Again, you don't know what's going to make it, you know, onto the final product, because they'll shoot a bunch of stuff that goes to the editors. And the other thing about editing, which is wild, is just how much they can change a scene with the footage that they're given, you know, like with tone or you know, the meaning of a scene as well. Like, it's wild with the footage that they get for a particular scene, how they can craft what direction it kind of goes in. Yeah, I just think that's incredible. But yeah, I would love to. I've got a project that I'm starting to work on right now with Hallmark that is, I'm more on the other side right now. So, I mean, it's still pretty early enough, you know, and I don't really want to talk about too much about it. It's a lot of fun and it's very challenging. And yeah, I hope I can talk about it more later, because you never know where these things go. But
oh yeah, definitely come back and tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, I'll let
Yeah,
you know. I'll let you know. But it's taking up my time right now, so it's going to be great. I hope it's going to be. I hope it's going to be great.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a little bit, Laura Dreisen of Emporia, Kansas. She was one of the Hearties who was at this year's Hearties family reunion. She referenced at HFR how you said you were talking about a scene in season 10 that was one of the hardest for you to film. But of course, at the time, since it was still airing, you couldn't say too much about it. Do you remember what that was? Or,
you know, at that point, I was referring to the stuff that happened in 11, just knowing that it was going to be hard for, you know, a bunch of Hearties as well. I don't know if it was challenging probably the "What do you want" scene is what I was thinking about, because I think we were just, you know, I think that's what it was coming to at that point. I knew where it was going, and not that that scene was hard, but it was just taken very seriously. Like on what was happening in the 10th season, and just wanting to make sure that we were getting things right in certain areas. And I mean, I liked shooting that scene. It was fun. I liked the Notebook reference in it, and I liked the push again. They were talking about like the cameras, like Nathan's side. It was we were pulling out, and Elizabeth's sides we were pushing in, and it just kind of gave a sense of like what's gonna happen, what's he gonna say, a suspense. And Peter did that. Peter directed that episode. I think so. That's what I was referring to, because at that point, at that point we were still figuring out the water stuff. I'm trying to think. Going back at the apple juice scene was a lot of fun to shoot too. I don't know if it was the apple juice scene was challenging in a way that the scene was longer, and sometimes, even though I say we shoot like 9 pages a day, a lot of our scenes are a page and a half, or sometimes half a page, and that one I think was about 3 pages, and it kind of bled right through to there's a lot going on. There's a lot of subtext kind of happening, and the stakes were bigger for that scene. So when that stuff happens, you just want to make sure that you're doing justice to not only what the writers have given you, but also how it's going to impact the fans. And I think that's what I was thinking about there. To piggyback on that, for season 11, there was a very emotional scene in 11 that I know I can't really talk too much about because you haven't seen it, but I when I come back and talk to you guys again, 11, we can talk about that. That one sticks in my head right now of what was a very difficult block to shoot. A bit more in the themes that we did for that one. So to be continued, I guess, on this one. But on the Hearties, on HFR, that was, I think, what I was talking about, that I knew what was coming. We all did. And you can't spoil it. You can't say it. So it was more like that was the scene I was thinking about. Yeah.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense, because I could see for where the two of you actors in that scene, it's kind of like, how much do you push it? How much do you not? How, it seems like it was probably a really fine line in that scene for sure. So
the whole storyline was very delicate, how it was being dealt with, and you don't want to do anything that's, but at the same time, your job is to tell the story, and it was pretty clear what was going on. So it was like, okay, well, this is finding the right balance anyways. And I really liked it. I liked how that scene was shot, and I think Aaron did a great job in it, and it was just, it was moving for me to watch anyways.
Definitely had people talking too.
Oh yes,
definitely had people talking.
yeah.
I don't think that was a problem. I think there was
Right.
people definitely
No
talked.
problem talking about it.
True story.
No,
I
no.
do recall several of the Notebook gifts going around for that.
Yes. Yeah. And that was another thing too, because you didn't want to do the same thing where they're yelling at each other in the water, but it was like, so I did like a more gentle approach for it, but I wanted it still to be, trying to get the answer. Like, who were you? Like, just tell me and it's, I don't know. That's what I like. Any scene that there's more going on than what's being said is the best, right? And especially when the audience is in on it, like like, what is she going through? What's she feeling? At that point, it was really starting to crack for Elizabeth, right? And she's holding it together and trying to figure out what maybe she doesn't have the answer yet, but she knows that what Nathan is talking about, like, is prevalent inside her as well, and she knows about it. And I don't know, it was just like a real moment, where we're all kind of caught at a crossroad, and you don't want to. It must be tough to be in a position where no matter what decision you make, you're going to hurt somebody. And I think that was, what was happening with Aaron's character, with Elizabeth, and that was so hard. That was her kind of heartbreaking journey. And would, in the scene with Pascal and her at night, when she finally got to like allow all that to come out. But yeah, I think that's what I was definitely talking about, that being the hardest
when Nathan first came about, Alfonso Moreno shared about how it was like a bodyguard character where you were sort of her protector. And then now as the seasons have gone on, you became sort of a Han Solo of Hope Valley, where you were like the funny guy going, making your way alone in the world. So what,
Oh
where's
God,
Nathan
I
at
love
now?
that. I love that, first of all. The
You're
funny
like,
guy
anytime it can be Han Solo.
Yeah. You know, and I would argue without the serge, it's basically the Han Solo outfit. The pants are the same. It's the blue pants with the
That's a good
white
point.
stripes, exact same. And then, you know, when I'm doing kind of the unbuttoned Henley, it's like he had no, all I'm missing is the black vest and the Millennium Falcon.
There you go.
But other than that, you know, Jack is basically his Wookiee. Actually, no, well, if you look at Scout looks more like a Wookiee.
Scout
He does.
does.
Chewie.
Yeah.
Chewie.
Okay.
Oh
All right.
man,
Yeah.
I think
He's
that's
running
pretty
with the Star Wars metaphor.
Yeah. Oh, I'll just talk about that now forever. I think, you know, I liked kind of what I got to do. Nathan, mustachioed Nathan, is when I think he started kind of getting a bit that Han Solo-y kind of thing, where he was kind of giving her the gears, and but also kind of, you know, looking out, you know, he still cared about everything, but he was getting a bit, you know, cheeky with some of his answers, and I thought that was super fun to play. I think we have gone away from the bodyguard. I think that was an idea at the beginning where it was like, you know, he was going to be more like the silent type, and that's kind of what I was saying at the beginning, that he kind of came in holding his cards very close, and you know, he's been there for 5 years now, and those cards are dealt, and he is much more part of the community. And yeah, he's got this kind of cheeky side that's out now. So I think that's more what we see him as. We, in a different way, you know, we also see him become a father more, take more responsibility with Allie, understand somebody more. You know, he's always been a black and white kind of guy. You know, I think I've said that. I remember having a speech, something about wrong and right. And I think raising a child has kind of changed him a bit, that there might not be a simple answer for every, you know, problem. So he's learning that too. Like I've said this on other interviews, but what I like about Nathan is he's got this kind of imperfect heart that is like he wants to do the right thing all the time. It's not always the right thing that he's doing, but he wants to, and you know, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. But he as a police officer, as somebody from the law, he has to make, there has to be like right and wrong, you know, like this is right, this is it's the law. And as he gets to know that community more and raise Allie, he starts kind of seeing things that maybe it's not that way. Maybe there aren't answers for everything, and you know, situations are more difficult than you know, black and white, yes and no. So I mean, we still see him. He's still a little cheeky guy sometimes, you know, some of his stuff. But we do see you see that I've always thought he wears his heart in his sleeve, and I think his heart gets bigger in season 11. So yeah, he just has a drag around his arm a bit more. It's heavier. So yeah.
Well, I think that's what Elizabeth Motter from Formosa, Argentina was hoping for as well. She questioned, why do you think it was important for Nathan to reach such a low point in his love life in season 10, to the point that he questioned whether he was even suited for a relationship?
Good question. You know, going back to the fact that we get the scripts sometimes 2 days before we shoot. I had many questions at the beginning, you know, especially with the whole Faith Nathan, because we were like, what happened?
Wait,
like,
what?
Tell us as well. You know, because unfortunately, you know, with the TV medium, like some stuff happens. A lot of stuff sometimes has to happen off camera, and you just kind of have to go with it because them's the rules. So, you know, I you know, it became clear, and I kind of knew what was going on pretty early, but it was, I at the beginning, I was like, you know, like what happened? What's going on here with I think my first scene walking with Kayla or like Fiona, and seeing that they're all living together, you know, and then the whole May thing never really we didn't really get to see that
Right.
end as
Yeah.
well. You know, it was just kind of assumed that kind of fizzled out. I think, and I remember asking, and they were like, "Don't worry about it.
Just run with it. Yeah.
Just run with it." But it was for, you know, it was for a point in that it didn't matter. Those relationships didn't matter. What mattered is that nothing's clicked with Nathan, except for possibly Elizabeth. And the idea that, you know, maybe they're, I'm trying to find the most diplomatic way to say that. Maybe, you know, there's a reason why he feels more himself around her and nobody else. He's always tried to prove, or, you know, he always kind of puts his foot in his mouth or says the wrong thing, or overdoes something or underdoes something, you know, with the other chances he had. But on an overall season arc for Nathan, the reason why nothing worked out with the other two relationships was because his heart's always been somewhere else. And he's never been able to fully give himself to anybody else. And, you know, even though some things were said, maybe that's not what was actually felt. Maybe it was just said to kind of move on. Like when you tell yourself, I'm okay, and, you know, you haven't really taken that time to go through therapy to find out maybe I'm not fully
not
okay.
okay.
Maybe I got to do a bit more work. So, you know, I think that was the whole point of that, of him not moving forward with those relationships.
Well, the apple juice scene was certainly a favorite in our informal Facebook poll. And Michelle Plott of Baltimore, Maryland, speaks for all of us when she asks, what was Nathan's thought when he stopped and smiled to himself after leaving the row house? You know, time to go.
Yeah.
Tell us what was going on there.
This one, we had varying opinions among ourselves, so I'm dying to hear
what was your opinion? Let's start with you guys first, and then I'll tell you. What was your opinion? What did you think?
Well, I will share some of the varying opinions.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them.
One was that because it's literally just a beat where you smirk. All it is a smirk or a smile, right?
Yep.
For me, no.
Yeah.
I gave it away. To me, I thought he was having a moment where he was like, wait a second, there's still something here. Others on the team said that they felt like, oh, it was a moment where he was like, oh, this is so nice how far we've come that we can have these kind of discussions about life in general, and that we're at a level of comfort there. I don't know. Did anyone hear any other varying opinions? I think those were the two different.
Yeah, they were the big ones. Yeah.
He what happened was I farted when I was outside.
Come on.
And it felt so good. It felt so good.
Not.
It felt so good that I just smiled and walked away. No, that didn't happen. No, I
should have known when that was the answer we'd get.
Right.
I didn't. That just came to me. So funny thing about that scene, we shot three different alts for that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because again, sensitive to how things were going, how we're moving forward with certain things. Do we even need it? I don't know. I think there was one where maybe that was the third, like maybe we just left it. One where he just steps out, and I don't think I smiled. I think I just looked. Or what was we shot? And maybe I just one where we didn't do it. One where he just kind of stepped out and walked away, and then one with the smile. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know which one I'm going to take. And they went with the smile. And I was thinking at the time when I did it that not that there was something still there, I guess, but it was just a moment. I think it was just that he wasn't alone. I think what it was. I think that it was like whether like it wasn't like a smirky smile, like I still got a chance, because that wasn't what was going on. but it was this thing of like that somebody still cares about
Mm.
him, I think is what it
Feel
was, you know.
heard.
And
Yeah.
yeah, feel heard, but just like it was evident, like, because you know, he at that point too, it wasn't, you know, what was that, episode 7 or 6, something like that, or 8, I think. Anyways, when it happened, that, you know, he didn't know what was going on the other side of. They didn't sit around talking about her love life or anything like that. Like, it was just kind of Nathan unloading his stuff. That happened organically. Like, he was over there to, you know, just the fates put them in the same room together, and you know, he was just opening up to her, and this idea that, you know, even if Elizabeth's still around as like his friend or whatever, like, she's still there and she cares about him, you know, and he's not alone. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was kind of what it was. It was just kind of a nice feeling to be like, yeah, somebody cares, you know, because he opened up his heart and said, like, maybe I'm not lovable, and maybe, you know, this isn't for me. And that look that Elizabeth gave just before they kind of stepped up and walked away, that it was like, I don't know, like, because they're still going on their own history of her saying, you know, what she said to him, and you know, where they are. And it was just, I guess, just a nice moment that they still have each other in certain ways, you know. So that's kind of what that was.
Well, and how interesting it must be for you as an actor, for all of you as actors, that something as tiny as a smile outside a door can offer a, you know, 12 varying opinions about what
It
about what it
is wild. So you're right. Like, you know, you could put something out and the tone of something can happen, or, you know, a look. It's insane. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Mhm.
a fun part of that. And you do, I'm surprised by it as an actor sometimes too, because, you know, you spend some, again, maybe going back to theater, but you spend so much time with the words and the text and like how you want to deliver it, or how you think it should be delivered, which is always the bad thing. Don't never do it how you think it should be delivered. I think it's, you know, it kind of comes out organically if you're listening to the other person, but it's those beats in between, like, even going back, like the apple juice scene when Nathan's like, you know, I'm not, you know, maybe I should, or whatever. He's like, yeah, maybe I should. And that little beat that Aaron gave, and that's what you're like, that's what we're talking about. It was, the scene was like 3 minutes, but it's like a microsecond of the thing that was like, whoa, what was that? You know, and then we move on. But it's such an incredible medium in the way that the slightest thing can mean so many different things to different people, you know, depending on where their focus is. Yeah.
And you mentioned the editing can change all of that as well. You know, so if
Totally.
it's not, you know, you thought it was nothing, but it somehow got personified in the editing.
Totally.
And
It's wild to be an editor to you know, to send in the first cut of a episode, and then to get notes on it. It's like, can you make this more this, or can you make this more this? And like, you know, you've only got so much to work with. You're like, okay, I guess we could be on this level. Let's see what this actor did on this line, you know, and maybe we can cut back to them. And that's why sometimes you see, you know, like an actor delivering a monologue or a line, and we're focusing on the other actor who's not saying anything, because it hits harder watching them. Like, that was all found in the editing room. You know, it wasn't written down, that it's like, we look at this character during this time, we look at this character, like, that's all those nuances, you know, are found later. You know, I would say, I'd argue a lot of stuff with Henry, with Martins and Rosaline, like, you'd have to really go back and see when she's being affected by what he's saying, or you know, when he's pained saying certain things, like what tells the better story. And you kind of got to go back, and then you give it to the creatives, and they're like, well, can we get more of this? And then you got to go back, and so yeah, like, you can really strengthen a scene, you know, by looking at all the different moments from everybody puts in.
We've been talking about, you know, what it was all building up to in season 10, and Hearties certainly learned in season 10 that nothing is written in stone for these characters. So tell us about your reaction when you found out, when you first learned that Elizabeth and Lucas would head in different directions, and your thoughts on how that might impact Nathan.
Wow.
I
mean, it was, to pretend that Nathan was not going to have a storyline weaved in there, his fault. Like I knew what was happening. We all did. And, I knew that moving forward, Nathan was going to have a big part in Elizabeth's life. But specifically for 10, I would say Nathan, was only part of a chorus, not, he didn't join a choir, just part of a metaphorical chorus of like being a catalyst to ask Elizabeth what was in her heart. And actually Nathan said it before, but where her heart was truly lying. And like what I said about earlier with the faith putting Nathan and Elizabeth together in the same room to talk about, like it was kind of the faith that did the same thing with Elizabeth and Lucas. Like it was just, they were very happy until kind of life hit them unexpectedly in a certain way that had them being pulled apart, as it was written, that she had to really second guess what the life that she wanted, and unfortunately I think she knew what she wanted pretty early on, but she was kind of keeping it tight, hoping that it would all work out until it came down to the decision where it's like, well, you're the only way out of this. Like it's you say this or you say this, and it's going to dictate your life. I knew that Nathan was going to have a part in that. I knew that he was going to question her, because I think over the seasons, specifically 9 and 10, it's always been apparent that they have a connection as friends, and they care about each other. And like Rosemary and Henry, Nathan would have enough gumption to really question her. Like the conversations that they've had in the past since I've joined, since 6, have always felt like they will say things to each other from their heart, and honestly, ask questions or poke to try to get the truth. Oftentimes it led to like hurt feelings, or it led to misunderstandings. That was kind of their MO for season 6 or 7. But I knew that Nathan was going to have some part in that. I didn't know that it was going to be like the Notebook scene at the end, which was super fun to shoot. And I know that moving forward, Nathan's going to have a big part in Elizabeth's life, in 11 as well. And I think she's going to kind of come to terms. Well, they're both going to come to terms, but specifically Elizabeth's going to kind of come to terms with some feelings that, like we said about the therapist, that maybe weren't fully thought about or dealt with, that have come to the surface, and that's going to be a big part of what we watch in 11.
It's really interesting. It's
What's
so
that?
Interesting.
We kind of saw some of that beginning in 10. We saw some of that coming.
Yes, yeah, and I mean that, and it was sprinkled out, like it was there where you kind of saw this connection. And granted, it was a lot about at the beginning. It was about single parents, and the specific thing that she was dealing with was how little Jack's asking about her father, about his father, and Nathan had to deal with the exact same thing to not in the same way, but deal with Allie asking about her father, because we don't really, and this is something we may explore in future season, but Allie doesn't really know about her father. Like we saw him come to town and everything, but he was Nathan made sure that he kind of stayed out of her life. So he's had to deal with what to tell a kid when a child's ready to hear something, like you don't want to do it too early, or maybe you do. I don't. It's how you parent, but finding that balance, and that's what brought Nathan and Elizabeth together at the beginning, kind of talking about that, and you know, as it grows, as that stuff grows, they kind of grow closer, and I've always felt that they have really great conversations together, and they're very open with each other. And yeah, we kind of see that thing build right up to the kind of climactic thing where Nathan's really asking her, like, what is it that you want, you know? And
It's so interesting when
here we
you
are.
that you talk about him in season, when you think about him first coming to town in season 6, and that you couldn't find your words and you did stumble. And then in that moment in the church, like Nathan found his words. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that was like such a pivotal moment, and it showed so how far Nathan had come over the
Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
I hadn't-
Well, I'm happy it happened because it's I mean, that's what you want to see. And like, you know, you don't want to be just a stereotype or a caricature kind of thing. You want to see these characters make mistakes and grow, and, you know, you want to see them disappoint you. And then, because I mean, because then they have somewhere to go. You know, you want to see them fall in a hole, and you want to see them make the wrong choice, because it's a human thing to do. We all do it, you know, our parents do it, our kids do it, you know, our friends do it. And, you know, and you want to see somebody climb out of it and get their life back, or, you know, like find happiness. And you know, I feel bad that 10, you know, hurt some fans the way that it did, but, you know, if everything's up here, then, like, where do you go? You know, like, you have to see people fall and stumble to, like, let them eventually, like, come out into the light. And that's kind of, 10 was a stumble for a lot of people. It's drama, you know, people make mistakes. Like, the story is a vehicle for all these characters, and you shake it up and you put it out and see where they come out. So, you know, 10 did. A lot of people stumbled, and we'll see what happens in 11. But everybody's trying to get back into the sun, so we'll see.
And we're so excited to see what happens in 11. Ruth Rockensteyer Santa Barbara of Schenectady, New York, has always loved that father-daughter relationship with Nathan and Allie that you were talking about just a little while ago. Will there be more growth of their relationship in season 11?
Oh, big time. Yes, there
Oh,
is.
yay.
There, I will say, without giving anything away, Jaeda absolutely kills it she has a block where, like, I was so impressed. It was such as, like, Kevin the actor, to watch her take on this storyline and give the performance she did was very moving, you know, because, like, she was, I mean, in my head, she's always like 6, but, like, you know, she was 12 or something when she joined, and now, you know, she's like almost 18, like almost a full woman.
Yeah.
And I've seen her get better and, you know, more present, and she has a great storyline in 11, and she absolutely delivers, and it only brings Nathan and Nathan and Allie closer together. And it is one of my favorite relationships on the show that I get to play. You know, it's such an important thing for the character of Nathan to be, you know, to kind of be this. Even when he joined in 6, like, you know, on his outer shell, he's this stern cop, and then on the inner shell, he's got this, like, child at home that he doesn't know what he's doing. All I'll say is that she really delivers, and she blew me away for that particular storyline. Yeah.
Oh, can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Well, still talking about Hope Valley kids, Jennifer Petro of Bremerton, Washington, says it looks as if Nathan is growing closer to Little Jack. How would you describe Nathan's role in Little Jack's life in season 11?
In season 11, Little Jack. So, I mean, Little Jack, well, Highland is a precocious little actor. And he's also getting older too. I mean, he's just so fun to. He is at the age where you don't know what he's going to do. The camera's on him, you know, and for better or worse. Going back to, like, you know, it was Children and Animals. You know, it's like you don't know what's going to happen, and it's the most exciting to watch because, you know, they're unpredictable.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. But the stuff that he delivers is really, or the stuff that they're able to get from him. Peter's really great with him as a director. Nathan does have a big impact on little Jack's life at 11, but so do a couple other people as well. You know, like he's getting older. He's a boy, so I think Nathan understands that a bit more too, because he's, you know, he can remember when he was a child. Right, that's what really screws him up sometimes with Allie. He just doesn't know what like a little girl needs or a young woman needs, right? So that's why he has to go to Elizabeth and ask all these questions. But with a little boy, he can more understand what's going on, and you know, and I think little Jack's. I think we just got to call him Jack now. He's not little. He's like 6 or 7.
No, you can't
So
take the
yeah,
little away.
it's getting. I mean, he can't be like little Jack at 32. It's like, it's little Jack. Yeah, no, it could be like Jackie or I don't know.
Junior. Just call
Jack
him
Junior. Jack or Junior.
Junior. Yeah.
JJ.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. But he, yeah, he's. I find the town more comes to. I mean, Nathan has some of his stuff as well, but the town tends to come and help Elizabeth with JJ, with Jack Jr.
No, don't make that a thing.
Yeah.
I want him
Okay,
to
little Jack. Little. Can it be like
Sorry, Jeanette.
LJ.
apostrophe
Oh,
LJ.
LJ.
Lil.
Yeah, we're good.
Little
I
Jack.
can't-
Lil
Yeah.
apostrophe, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, little Jack. Yeah, Nathan and little Jack's bond strengthens in 11, but so does a lot of the townspeople with little Jack.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's
Thank you for appreciate
That
that.
scene when he had the Mountie hat on and you guys saluted,
Yeah,
just
pretty
melted
cute.
our hearts.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you know, like so much to mine with that as well.
Kleenex
It's
required.
a
There
story.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like, you know, as he gets older, he'll have more questions, and you know, like, you know, we can see where certain stories might go. Like, it's great. I think there's lots to like mine story wise with that as well. You know.
Well, one of the things that stuck out to us from when we talked to you before was you talked about being able to focus on the story and rise above the noise. Because when you first came on the show, you know, you were filling the Mountie boots and stepping, and there was a lot of noise happening at that time. Kristen,
At that time.
At that time,
At
well,
that
yeah, several seasons since. So we do have a little bit of noise now as well,
Yeah.
but
a little different noise.
it's a little different
Yeah.
noise. Yeah, very. Kristen Dunn from the Southern United States asks, how has the role influenced your life or changed you as an actor? You've been, not like you said, you've been in it now six seasons. So
That's wild. That's wild to
Yeah.
think back. I mean, personally, it's more the friends that I've made on this show. You know, I've made some of the best friends that I have in my life right now on the show, and not only, I mean, my future wife on the show too. So, like, When Calls the Heart as a TV show has changed my life only for the better. Personally, playing Nathan, maybe, you know, a kind of a respect for the people that put their life on the line and do, you know, as much as I was kind of razzing them for the whole black and white and thinking right and wrong, like, people have to make those decisions. You know, it's very easy sometimes to just be like, I'm staying out of this, I'm Switzerland. But somebody has to say what's right and wrong. And, you know, they have to take a bulk of, you know, negativity from people or positivity or whatever. But like, that's a real job out there for a lot of people in politics and power. And so I guess, you know, having to hold true to what you believe in, having such a strong faith, maybe that's you know, a new respect that I have for people that have that.
now that it's been 6 seasons, do you feel that you've lived in Nathan's skin? Do you feel like you kind of know him inside and out, or are there still moments like when scripts come across that kind of surprise you, like new things you're still learning about him?
Nathan steps out of woods singing This Little Light of Mine. That was a surprising moment.
Like, I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah, me neither. I do think I know him. I mean, you know, I've spent, like you said, 5-6 years with him. There are times, of course, I'll get a script that I'm surprised by, And a lot of the times I got to remind myself, because we move so fast that I can be quick to be like, no, he wouldn't do that. I don't think he'd do that. It's not him. And I think only in the last little while, I'm like, just do it. Like, and maybe he is this. Maybe he's got, like, nobody's just one way. And maybe he does have this in him, or maybe he can do this. Maybe this will work. Like, try it before you, say no. And, I think I've always kind of thought that, but with the work schedule we have, it's hard to find, that balance of, like, we don't have time to try this, or, or if we do it and then I decide it's not a good idea, it's already in the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no.
So yeah, that could be tough. But yeah, I mean, Nathan does surprise me, of course. There's always stuff that's written, and especially, you get new voices, like we've said, Alfonso, John, Lindsay, like they've all got kind of their different variations in what they see when they go back and they kind of watch what was going on and you could say that, I imagine with many of the characters on the show, they were all very different at some point when they had a different voice kind of writing for them. So
Yeah.
And there's little bits of him that I love from everybody that was writing for him, that gave him, a certain personality or words or whatever. So I'm not done with him. Like, there's no way that he's just a complete mold by now, but I think there's a couple surprising moments he gets in 11, but he's still pretty much, he still stays true to kind of like his character. But yeah, no, I'm still surprised by him, of course.
We have heard in season 11 that we're gonna, as with any season, we meet new characters, but we've heard that some we've heard of before, some might be ones we haven't heard of.
I think I said that. I said that in a different podcast. I was like, oh no, I've given away something. But hey, yes.
No,
we've heard
I
from
think
others
some
too.
of the writers have teased that too. You're good. You're good.
Good.
So Madeline Moyes of Dorset, United Kingdom, one of our international Hearties, I love this. Is there a chance that Nathan's mom will show up in future episodes? I think this was an interesting question because has his mother ever come up in conversation? I don't remember any discussions of her.
Well, if not, then I guess she comes up in 11. I mean, because she does come up. She does come up.
Interesting.
I think when his father had because when his dad came to town and he had that storyline of like the thief father that turned over a new leaf, there was mention of where mom was, and that I think he just said, like, she's somewhere where you can't hurt her or something like that. But I think near the end, the ending of that storyline was that his dad was going back, and Allie was at her grandparents. I think we opened up where Allie wasn't there for the first couple episodes for her grandparents. So there's a bit of talk with that. So Nathan's parents are around. We won't. I mean, I don't want to say anything, but I also don't want to disappoint you. We won't see Nathan's mom in season 11. It does, however, she is involved in a bit of that storyline that I was talking about with that Jaeda so perfectly excels at. She's wrapped up in that a little bit, but no, we won't see a face just yet. There are some characters though coming in though that, and the fun thing too, I mean, not characters that we've heard about, characters that we might have seen before too that have changed now. So one thing I do like that Lindsay and her team they've gone back to be like, hey, let's, like, I mean, in 10 they brought Charlotte back. Charlotte and I mean Rosaline, and they're kind of they go back and they're like, okay, who can come back to the town, what can we do? And who have we mentioned and not seen that we can kind of bring as well. So there's some fun people coming to town. There's some good stuff in season 11.
A conversation about Nathan's mom will inevitably lead to Hearties tweeting who they want to be cast as his mother. I'm sure that happens.
Exactly. Write it down right here. Comment, subscribe below.
Comment below.
Comment below. Let us know what you think.
Like and subscribe at the same time. Yeah.
Like and
Yes.
subscribe. Like and subscribe. Comment below.
Oh, too funny. Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this year's Hearties family reunion. As always, it was a lot of fun to see you guys in person. Boy, there was a lot going on with 10 airing and you guys shooting 11 and the event going on. But
We're wonderful.
Hearties love seeing you and Kayla in person together, of course, always a big part of your story with When Calls the Heart. But now that you've, attended several Hearties family reunions and you've gotten to connect with Hearties, can you talk a little bit about like what your relationship with the Hearties how has it evolved over the last 6 seasons, and what kind of, you talked a little bit about what the show has meant in your life, but sort of.
Yeah. Well, with the Hearties specifically, I mean, I knew nothing when I first joined the show, and I really didn't. I didn't know it had the following that it did, or the fans that it did. I remember my first Hardy family reunion. We were in that it was a hotel in Richmond,
Burnaby.
I think, or something. Burnaby.
Yeah.
See, I was still new to Vancouver. I mean, I had really no idea what was going on. And I just remember they were like, "Hey, we're gonna pick you up, and you're gonna come out, and you're gonna meet some fans." I'm like, okay. And I get in, and it's like you guys are in a big hall, and they've got all these chairs and this big TV screen, and I guess they screened a picture of me, like, or the opening of like Nathan kind of being the new Mountie and walking through the town before, and then they're like, "Okay, go out there," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it's just like a sea of people, and I don't like. I'm still learning like cast members' names, and I'm like, "Hey," and yeah, it was such a whirlwind. I think that was the year too. They were like, "Hey, instead of like you guys sitting at a table, you're going to go to everybody's table. Like instead of you guys sitting at a table and allowing the fans to come to you, you're going to go to every table, and you got 2 minutes or something like that."
Yep.
And I've never
timed.
been so tired in my life. I thought I was going to pass out. Like there was something like 25 tables, 25 tables, 2 minutes
I think there
apiece.
are more.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah,
I blacked out at 25. So like I remember walking around, and at some point you're just saying the same thing at table to table, because you just have no, and you're trying, everyone's kind of a picture. And I was surprised. I was like, you don't even know me yet. Like, I don't even know why. Chris and I and Kayla were brand new to the show. And so we're doing this, and I'm trying to maybe say a joke or two, and it was a whirlwind. I got out of there. It's just like spinning, and
they don't know you, but they love you already.
Well, it was a warm welcome, and it was very nice. But again, I was just it was a lot.
Have you been able to absorb it a little more? Have you been able to absorb it a little more?
I'm still in therapy over it. I wake up in a cold sweat at night. Like table 23. No, so and then I think, did we do another one after that, or was it
yeah, we did.
Yeah. Oh, we did another one. Oh, yes. Yeah, then there was another one after that. That became a bit more like, that was when the triangle was at its peak. Oh, that was another interesting one, because like then there was like signs of like, geez, you're like, okay, this is and I think a new thing for them as well, because it was, it's like, we don't know how to.
T-shirts. You and Chris wore T-shirts.
We wore each other's. We wore each other's T-shirts.
Yeah.
I wore Team Lucas. He wore Team Nathan. We were trying to bridge the gap, or bring people
together.
It's all the same. I don't know how well it works, but yeah, try it. And so that was it. And I knew a bit more what was going on, but it was also, we were also. It was, the triangle was starting, and it was the beginning of that era on the show. And then COVID, or no, then it was COVID that happened, and then and then that stopped. Or did we do it one? Was there?
And we did the one last year in the tent, right?
It was the 2 years we didn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, there was 1 year we didn't, or two. Oh wow.
Right.
But then then I remember the tent, because we were out of work, and we came in, and there was like. That was just that was a weird one too, because it was down to like, it was a smaller group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was prepared to do the tables at that point. I had table 1 to 5, and I am out of there. There was no tables. We were, everybody was sitting there, and you had to, a certain protocol, and it was, everything was open.
Yeah.
And so that was just more kind of being like, oh yeah, right, like this happened 2 years ago, and it was great though to just to see that people were still watching and loving and being there, and then this year was we were back in a hotel again, and it started moving back towards what we know, and it was great, coming back and just so comfortable now, kind of. I was way more comfortable on the stage this year than that first one with all the tables. And it's just been, I mean, it's so incredible to be part of something that has a fan base like this, and I hope Hallmark realizes how lucky they are that that they have you guys. It's not every show has this, like not every show has such a strong fan base and a fan base that seems to like promote love and caring and goodwill, and it's just a really beautiful thing that they've got. And I hope and I we see a lot of people in the show and the producers, and they all come out too, and I just I hope Hallmark realizes just how special you guys are, and that how important all of you are to the show.
Has it surprised you the way Hearties come out in full force for your other projects too? Not just When Calls the Heart, but does that surprise you, or did you?
That's I mean, nothing surprised me as much as the Hearties. Like the Hearties with the show. It's lovely to have some of the people that are just like that that are Nathan fans or Kevin fans, and that want to come and see the other projects that I've done too, and that's it just. I mean, I'm an actor. Anytime somebody wants to sit and watch me do something, that's just so. I'm so lucky, even if it's one person that's like, I'll sit and watch your show. I mean, that's how many people get to do this in life, and I'm so grateful because I remember hearing this medium of art that we do. Like you can be a painter and you can sit in a room by yourself and you paint a picture, or you can write a song. But like to act, you need somebody to like watch it to be able to deliver words or play a character and have some people watch it and enjoy it. It's just I'm so lucky, and and all of you are such a big part of that. So I'm eternally grateful. Is what I can say.
We're glad that we didn't scare you off with that first HFR.
Oh, I mean, you scared me. You didn't scare me off. But the show wouldn't be here without all of you. I wouldn't be here. It's and like I said, all the great things that I've got personally as Kevin from this, the relationships and everything, like all that wouldn't have happened had I not joined the show and had the show not continue to run. God knows Kayla turned me down several times, so I needed the show to go. I needed the show to go at least to season 8. So thanks for that.
You're welcome for the love of your life.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
Oh, boy.
I just needed a couple seasons to convince her.
Kevin, we are so grateful for you, especially that you were so kind to give us so much time on this week before Christmas to be talk with the Hearties. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. Thank you guys. Again, thank you for all the support and just enjoying the show and running all this. I think this is such a great forum that we get to kind of give back to the fans that watch it, and so thank you all, and happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays.
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you too, and
Merry Christmas.
A very happy 2024. We can't wait to see season 11 in 2024.
Me too. I can't wait.
Well, Hearties, you blew us away with all the questions that you submitted for this, and we really have only just scratched the surface of all the questions that you had for Kevin. We have more Heart to Hearties coming to you as we anticipate the debut of season 11, so stay tuned. We hope it will be a healthy and happy 2024 for all of you.